Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is a profile on Sir J. Robert Bradley. And we're fortunate to have with us to give us a profile on Sir J. Robert Bradley, Minister Gregory Taylor. Of course, Reverend Taylor, let me apologize for stumbling into your name this morning.
No problem.
As if I don't know you.
No, no problem.
But very good. Let me thank you for coming by, really, and giving us an opportunity this morning, Reverend Taylor, to talk about an individual that I know that you know something about, because you've talked to us on so many different occasions in reference to Sir J. Robert Bradley.
Yes, sir.
And I think that on many occasions I've simply referred to him as J. Robert Bradley,
yes.
But you always made me aware that he was a Sir J. Robert Bradley,
yes.
Giving him a greater distinction than simply saying that he was a singer and a musician.
Yes.
Let's talk, and we want to talk about that, Reverend Taylor. As
yes.
a matter of fact, we want to get as much information as we possibly can. But before we get into that, let's have you to give us some information about you.
Yes.
And some information in reference to your background, your education, and some of the experiences that brought you to us this morning. And by the second segment, we'll have an opportunity to talk about Sir J. Robert Bradley and his influence and make people aware of who he was.
Yes.
Let's do it from that perspective.
Sure. Well, Dr. Haney, my name is Gregory Taylor. I'm from Northport, Alabama, and I spent a lot of years in school playing in my hometown on the park. These things are very impressionable to me. And playing on the park, on the hill, on the park is where Dr. J. Robert Bradley sang at my childhood church. And I've had the opportunity since I've been here to fulfill a vision that I had before leaving my hometown. And in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, we have one building. It's an 11-story building. And I used to go up high as I could in that building and imagine myself being away from Northport and Tuscaloosa, sending information back and speaking about where I've come from and where I am now. And when I came here, back here in 2008, I met Dr. Chris Jackson, found out that Dr. Bradley had a CD and that his music was out there. And so that was just very exciting, because when I left my hometown, I had done inventory on the city. And the most important thing there was a memory of the pure old spirituals of the church. And the city is also known for Archibald barbecue. Even it's known in England. And these are the things, you know, in my background. I remember spending a lot of time hunting birds, playing ball on the park, and things like that. And today we've been communicating with the City Council about honoring this park in memory of the CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps. And it is something that's near on the Bicentennial Mall here. I didn't know the things about the park that I did. And my father was in the CCC, and the Civilian Conservation Corps, and General John C. Marshall credited those men training with what won World War II. And recently, I discovered that his first desire going into CCC was to be an artist and to also a sculptor. And so what has taken place here, those things have come together in my person, including Dr. Bradley. And so this is just quite a meaningful experience to have connected to the Asia Pacific Theater through my father, who was in World War II in Japan, and just so many different things that have taken place since I was last here. I'd even said we had to have 2 shows.
You know, to think in terms of Sir J. Robert Bradley,
yes.
Give us sort of a snapshot of his life and the influence that he had and why he had such influence.
Yes, that's a good question. In the book, I've always been in the hands of God by Amos Jones. It explains that he would say that he had always known how to sing. He'd never had anything. He'd always known how to sing. And as a little boy, to feed the family, he would have to fish for crayfish in the Mississippi River, I believe it was, near Memphis. And he often referred back to those things, how hard his life was, suffering, great suffering. He speaks of times in his book when they went without food, how his mother walked from Arkansas to Memphis for a better life, and all of the things like that. It's just an incredible life. And in my family, it connects here because through the church, which I come up out of, we were purists. And I learned here that Dr. Bradley was also a purist in the singing.
Okay, so what we'll do, we're going to take a first commercial break.
Okay.
And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Minister Taylor, and he's giving us some information in reference to Sir Robert Bradley, his life and times. As a matter of fact, Minister, we've called this a profile on J. Robert Bradley, Sir J. Robert Bradley, because very, very few people know outside of a strict music career know that much about Bradley. And so bring that information to our audience this morning that we don't know.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Haney. And I'll start with what I heard coming out of Memphis, his birthplace. I was told that Sir J. Robert Bradley today is an unknown superstar. And in his book, we are starting a study course in his book online in the way of telecommunication, as well as through the, I think it's the Pew Library over in the J.C. Neighbor community. And the reason for this start in this area, I believe it's the best way for Dr. Bradley's legacy to flourish again. And he was dirt poor. As a little boy, he had to fish for fake crayfish in order to put food on the table for the family, and just hard times. And in reference to his singing voice, his father had a great baritone voice, and his mother used to sing when she was pregnant with him, pray that, you know, for him, and ask the Lord to give her a man child. This is before when she became pregnant with him. And she said in her book, her name was Leela Bradley, that she would want to ask the Lord to give her a man child. And people in her book, it says that Leela Bradley had a special communication with the Lord. And she would speak and talk about that. And in the community, they were saying to her when she was pregnant with Dr. Bradley that she was going crazy. She was in the backyard talking about the Lord is going to give me a man child, and he's going to be a servant of the Lord. And today, this is why I see his music as being so important, because the Lady of the Children's Defense Fund and Dr. Alvin Poussant both say we have got to go into prenatal to help our kids today. And I see him as a perfect example of that. He sang a long time in the National Baptist Convention. They let him go, and I believe that the board convention started to work with him. And all of these things, a great voice. And Dr. Haney, I believe today, this past October the 5th, was his birthday. And on October the 5th, about 3, 4, maybe about 5 years ago, we had his first celebration. We only had one at the Pleasant Green Baptist Church. Dr. Chris Jackson is the executor there of Dr. Bradley's estate. And so I was very excited about this because I have been working since 1977 to do something in the area of the old spirituals of the church. And Du Bois said, it's the greatest gift that the Negro has given to America and most neglected. So we didn't neglect it from the church from which I came from. And so today I just see so many opportunities in Dr. Bradley's life. I believe that his life has laid a foundation for the music in our church, because he was a purist. He didn't believe in jazzing it up. That is in his book. And he talks about that. Several people here know about Dr. J. Robert Bradley, but the lady from Memphis, a friend of mine, said that he's an unknown superstar because his music was not that popular. And I've even found since I've been here and introducing Dr. Bradley's music that the black churches have not been receptive to his music. And so I've even known that it had been said there were those who didn't want to work with me. I didn't mind that. So what I have done is I've taken Dr. Bradley's book. I've always been in the hands of God. And we've connected to Kim Hinton, the Bicentennial Mall. He gave me his book, A Long Path, and I gave him Dr. Bradley's book. And so we have just been being led by the Spirit, and Dr. Bradley often mentioned that in his book, that singing and being led, you know, by the Spirit. And he didn't jazz his music up. He didn't believe in that.
Who were some of his contemporaries? And I think that what you're saying is important about him, but those individuals who might not relate to that, relate some of his contemporaries. I think you mentioned at one time Mahalia Jackson,
yes,
and some of those other individuals, people that might be well known outside of Bradley,
yes,
but these were the individuals that he had great contact with, and it was through such individuals
that his
music was spread.
That's right.
Since for the most part we don't have that much information in terms of recordings and whatnot that we might have of others. But he did have a contemporary group.
That's right.
And so talk about some of those individuals that fell within that frame.
That's the one that comes to mind in the book, Dr. Charles Bryant. He was at, I think, one of the technical schools here. He taught Dr. Bradley to read music after hours, you know, at the school there. And I can't think of the name of it, but it's the technical school. And he taught him to read music, and he did it after hours. You know, it was illegal to teach a person to read music, and he did it anyway. And Dr. Can't think of his name, Wirtz. Dr. John Wirtz also taught him, you know, to read music. And there are some other great singers. Dr. Mahalia Jackson often said that whenever Bradley sang Amazing Grace, there's no need of anybody else messing with it, you know. And just such a great voice. He had communications in the White House. Here recently, about a year ago, I sent President Trump a copy of his book and pointed out that he sang in Seoul, Korea, and received the Iron Ship Award, which is the highest award in Seoul, Korea. And I can't say it did anything there, can't say that it didn't, but I don't want to hold back something that could help this country and others as well, because that's one of the things Dr. Bradley believed about his music, that it was designed to bring people together in around the world in different places to help them to get along with each other and, you know, things like that. And I can't think of any of the others, but in my hometown, when he would come to First Baptist Church, he worked with the choir, a week of singing, and in Alabama, a church in Anderson, Alabama, he worked with them there. And he traveled with Dr. W.A. Criswell, this great Southern Baptist minister, and they did missionary tours, you know, in India, China, Japan, all these places. And we are hoping, Dr. Haney, that through maybe Sony Records or something like that, Dr. Bradley's legacy may get a second tour.
Well, are there many recordings of Dr. Bradley's singing?
Yes.
And where would you find those, and how would people connect with those?
Okay. First up is the CD and the website, www.jrobertbradley.com. You can get immediate access to his music. And Delco, Dr. Chris Jackson recently shared with me that there's something of his music on Delco, you know, and some of the others. You can pull it up online in a lot of places.
Okay, and so what we're going to do, we're going to take our second break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short break. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking about Sir J. Robert Bradley, and Minister is giving us excellent information in reference to the life and times of J. Robert Bradley. And so if you want to pick up where you left off,
yes.
Pastor Pastor Taylor,
yeah.
and give us some information in reference to why J. Robert Bradley, not only because of his singing,
yes.
because I know we've talked about it from several perspectives
yes.
before,
yes.
Make us understand how important he is within his society and why people ought to be concerned about him outside of the church today.
Yes. I believe, Dr. Chaney, and I've been thinking about this a lot, Dr. Bradley's music, I believe it has become the soul of America. Now, in the book, Protests and Praise by John Michael Spencer, when Dr. Baldwin was here, and I made mention that he said, MLK said that music was the soul of the movement. And Dr. Baldwin said, that's right, he said it twice. So what I'm saying here, I believe today, Dr. J. Robert Bradley's music has become the soul of an America. But if you're not a purist, it is difficult for you to understand that. But he was a purist. He did not jazz his music up. I come up in a church where we were purists. We did not jazz it up. And there was a young lady out of North Carolina. She's an actor by the name of Tasha Thompson. I played Dr. Bradley's music to her over the telephone. And she listened to it, and she said, that's the kind of music that young people need today, that goes deep down in them. You know, it helps them to think. Dr. Bradley's music, I believe, also can purify a lot of the music of past eras which have gone through their evolutionary period. You know, I believe that his music can purify those things. We also thank the president for signing the Music Modernization Act, because this is, I haven't read it yet, but I believe it's going to do a lot to help those entertainers who were not properly rewarded for their gifts and things of this nature. And it is just so many things there. And at the Pruitt Library, the director there is Congolese, and he's been through 5 civil wars. And he's excited about Dr. Bradley's music, and we're starting this study course over there, and I've started something going through his book, The Major Events. He sang for the Queen of England, Dr. Emmanuel McCall, who was the first black Baptist minister to go to the Southern Baptist Convention. He said that Dr. Bradley was the best instrument of the Negro in order to help better relations and to represent us. And he sang with Dr. W.A. Criswell, the great Southern Baptist minister, and they went on missionary tours together. They come back, and Dr. Criswell took his sign down from First Baptist Church prohibiting blacks from his worship. So there's so many things there. At the University of Alabama, Dr. Haney, in the 60s, he sang at the University of Alabama. This is mentioned in his book. And he would say that he sang them love songs. He doesn't preach to them. And Dr. Charles Parker, who has a ministry, multicultural ministry here, heard Dr. Bradley singing in Birmingham, Alabama in the 60s. And I wonder today, Dr. Haney, why is it that National Baptists, the Southern Baptists, they don't make a way for Dr. Bradley's music to be on the air, to diffuse the killing and stuff that is going on, give the young people something to think deeper about, to look inward at. And I heard the lady of the Children's Defense Fund and Dr. Alvin Poussaint both say we have got to go into prenatal to help our kids, because they have been imprinted in the womb in the 50s and 60s. And it says that, Winfrey Gallagher says that life starts in the womb. You know, our relationship with the world starts in the womb. So let us look back. Whose music can reach back and go that deep? Dr. Bradley was born in 1920. My father was born in 1920. And this is what I'm so excited about, because my father was in the war over there, and Dr. Bradley was singing over there. So these things have come together, and right down there on the Bicentennial Mall, you can see the writing where the CCC says that if this generation see fit to remember them in songs of praise, they will consider it their reward. And Dr. Bradley is about 75 feet away from there. His name is in granite at one of the singing sons of the state of Tennessee. And I can't help but to believe, and to not let me leave this out, the maestro here in the city of Nashville, I was in a chemistry class and he spoke. And he said that music, a European composer wrote one day that music will play a role in saving the world, a European composer. And I believe, since Dr. Bradley has sang all over the world, Israel, Japan, China, all these countries, France, and I believe his music is most front and center today to fulfill that. And Dr. Regis Mitchell says that the old spirituals are the flag for for Black America. It is supposed to be front and center in our community. And Dr. Haney, I believe that blacks who have made all this money in the music industry, the church was our first school. They should be required by law to do more to help their seniors who are suffering in these senior citizen homes. Bobby Jones told me once he was going to get a CD of Dr. Bradley for all the senior citizens home here. I ain't heard nothing about that yet.
Very good. And so in a real sense, this man had, you mentioned, and I think you mentioned on a number of occasions, Sir Robert Bradley.
Sir J. Robert Bradley. Yes.
That indicates that he was knighted.
Yes, he was
knighted.
Explain
how that happened.
Yeah, he was knighted in the country of Liberia, by the president, I believe, of Liberia. That's how he was knighted. And it was a funny story in the book because Dr. Bradley said he thought that he was going to be beheaded. He didn't know what
when he was
knighted.
ready to touch it, to knight him.
Yes, yes.
No, well,
yeah. And Dr. Haney, it's a great read. The book is a great read. I'm very excited about it. We've been using the CD on the radio, WVOL. Mr. Hollenberg had made the rates great. The Providence Baptist, Lake Providence Church, Reverend Tex Thomas, all of these individuals, Dr. Fitzgerald, they have been helping to keep Dr. Bradley's music on the air. And we are very appreciative of that. And also the late Mr. Paul Harper, he gave me the opportunity to share Dr. Bradley's music at his restaurant. And also the Adrian Bryant at Revelations Church, he gave me a few minutes to speak about it, And so I'm just, excited because they don't know. And what I realized when I got here, I'm not bragging, but I have a better musical education coming out of the church that I did in Alabama than the ones here. And Dr. John Lewis Powell, who wanted me to become minister of the Faith United Church, decided that I should go back to Alabama because of something that they had there. But he gave me the greatest compliment in my life that I already had in me what it takes to get whatever I need. So when I come back here, I thought I would act on it in discovering Dr. Bradley's CD. That's what we have been doing.
I think you've mentioned on a number of occasions that his work is well known around Nashville, and that by his work that there might be some kind of influence that might bring to individuals who become involved with that.
Most definitely. You discover something about our music in the South. Dr. Wes Harvey told us, and he and Dr. Bradley was great friends. He sang "I'll Fly Away" at my pastor's funeral, and he said that our music was born in the hearts of our ancestors in the fields, and they are our anchor in America and the means by which our ancestry passed from one generation to the next. And when Booker T. Washington came back from West Africa, he said that the old songs in the South, we have sorrow songs in the South. The children of the plantation of Africa in the South, we have sorrow songs, but it's not they don't sing them anywhere like they do in Alabama, Georgia, and Mississippi. Especially in Mississippi.
Primarily because of the influence of slavery in those areas, and Africa, and
that's right.
In those areas that you get a different kind of music,
that's
protest,
right.
As well as hallelujah music.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm saying this. When you mix it, you lose it. Mm-hmm. Dr. Brad Shore I think it's Sellers in Atlanta, theologian, musician, and minister, he said, great suffering produces the most beautiful music. Now, Dr. Bradley, those who have taken it and used it for other purposes, they need to compensate those who are missing that interpretation.
Thank you, Reverend. And let me thank you, because I think this is about the end of our show for today. But let me thank you for giving us that information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.